Welcome back to the Business Blast on TED Magazine. It's Michael and Greg from the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, and we're going to talk about our businesses a little bit. But before we do that, a quick message from Satco, satco.com, satco.com, baby. You know, I never sold a lot of fixtures until I ran into Satco.
Yeah, Satco has really everything you need in terms of in the lighting industry. They have fixtures, light bulbs, components, sockets, everything you need from Satco. You can get it.
So, Greg, we're going to talk about accounts receivable a little bit here. Is that something you deal with down at Premier Lighting?
A little bit. It hasn't been as much of an issue, it seems like, as it maybe was in the past. But, what happens is a lot of times we start with a sales rep. We say, all right, who hasn't paid? And then we reach out to the sales rep who reaches out to their contact to find out what's going on. And most of the time it stops there and is resolved. But there are other times when it has to go to the next level, and I do get involved to some degree on that.
What's your strategy?
My strategy has been email follow-up, and usually it's taken care of right away. I have had to go in person with a tire iron. No, I didn't do that, but I went in person to a couple and had to collect. And I remember one in particular. It was pretty funny. The guy, he was an older guy, big company, and I just went in to go collect the money. And he's like, "Oh, so you want to get paid, huh?" Like, yeah, it's been 6 months. I would like to get paid. And he grabbed my hand, and his handshake squeezed it super hard and pulled me in tight. And I'm like, "Yeah." And I just stood there and just waited for it. So I got it. So, I wasn't being intimidated or anything. I was just saying, I need the money. We did our job. Let's get the money. So I have had to do that. Not fun. Prefer not to.
Yeah, we have a process. So, first 90 days we're generally pretty cool with the customers that don't pay. But once it goes past 90 days, I have something called the nasty. And we got to pull out the nasty. And the nasty's got a couple different angles to it. One is anonymity. So a lot of the customers, I don't seem to have problems with my customers paying, but it tends to be with the reps. Sometimes they get into a deal where they haven't made things clear or whatever, right? So once everything's been cleared out, that I know we've done the job, we've delivered the product, I know they received it. Once all those boxes are checked and that this person is just not paying for whatever reason, we put them in the nasty category. And it starts with anonymity. So you call them up and you don't say who you are, you just say where you're calling from. And you give them a hard time about not paying. You just talk to one of the employees, right? Just a general employee on the desk. Hey, your boss didn't pay us for those lights that you're using right now. Da, 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 da. And a lot of people don't like this stuff, but it works really. Talking to the employee first works really, really, really good.
Okay. But they don't want to hear it. They have no power over it, and they go.
Yeah, it makes things. I'm an expert at making people feel awkward, right? So it creates awkwardness on their end. And usually what you'll find is about 5 minutes later, you'll get a call back from the customer saying, "Well, how dare you call my employees?" So you let them rant for a bit. And the next line after that is, "Well, I don't want to call your employees. How come you're not returning our calls? How come you're not paying your bills or whatever?" And generally they pay. The next level is there's people that just still at that point won't pay. They don't mind being embarrassed, or they'll make up an excuse about how we didn't deliver or whatever. So then you got to call the guy. You try to get him or whatever. The best move ever, and this might be illegal or whatever, but I do it all the time, is I call the guys, if I can, I call the guy's wife at home, or I call the person's spouse at home. And I just say, I've been trying to get in touch with your husband or wife about this particular bill. And then that gets the phone to ring really quickly again. And then you get the same speech about how dare you call this and da 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 da, and you let them speak it out at whatever it is that they want to say, and then you say, "Look, I don't want to call your wife, bro, but you need to return our calls."
How many times have you done that?
I've probably done that about 2 or 3 dozen times.
Dozen? Woo.
Yeah.
I would have guessed maybe 1 or 2 times, but wow, that is a nasty.
Yeah.
You want your money.
I want my money. I don't like to write off accounts. We write off very few accounts. In fact, we have a policy of $25 gets you to small claims court. Now, we haven't actually done it for $25, but we've, I don't like to walk away from money if you're not going to pay, go bankrupt. That's the way I see it. If you're not going to pay your bills, you need to go bankrupt. You can't keep operating and screwing people, because I don't know how it is in Minnesota or in different areas, but in Toronto, you tend to run into, out of 1,000 deals, you run into 3 or 4 people that just have a strategy of non-payment. They fill out the credit applications, they do everything they're supposed to do, and then they just don't pay you. And we have so many customers that have, accounts worth $500 or $400 or whatever in a year, right? They'll order 2 or 3 cases of light bulbs and they just won't pay. And so I don't really like that. So I have these nasty strategies that I've deployed over the last 16 years. So maybe 2 or 3 a year have to happen, and then we get our money. Because every other way is like a waste of time. Collection agencies are a waste of time to me, in my opinion. And small claims court's a waste of time. You're just wasting your time. It costs so much to go there and litigate and do everything else that, it tends to be, the problem tends to be for me and generally is with customers below $5,000. It doesn't seem to be above $5,000. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I would say that's usually where it is. It's just those annoying amounts where it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Really? You're not going to pay $400?
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Yeah, dude.
You know what happens a lot is that you end up writing it off because then, at least me, I look at it and I'm like, wow, it's only $400. It's not worth it all. But it is worth it. You need that money. You spent the time to get it.
Yeah.
To sell it. Now, otherwise, you're not going to have a business much longer if you keep doing that.
You wouldn't believe how many of those people continue to order from us. We actually have customers that will order again after they've gotten the nasty. It's really unbelievable to me. I've never had anyone order after the wife call, but I've had several orders after the call to the employee and just explaining the situation. It's kind of like one of those, gosh, we sold you a couple boxes of lights, back in January, and Sam hasn't paid for them yet. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. No, hang on. Stay on the phone with me for a bit, and I'm going to tell you all about it. We delivered them to Joey. You know Joey? Yeah, Joey, he's in the back. Yeah, he signed for those bulbs, actually. Joey Gimicata or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I know him. Can you ask him why they haven't paid for them yet? Just like you create like a little bit of chaos in 5 minutes in their office, and generally that takes care of it right away. Call the guy's wife I never called a woman's husband, but I've called lots of guys' wives. And just said, hey, you shouldn't have your number in the phone book if you don't pay people, buddy.
What are the wife's reactions? Do they get?
Oh, dude, no, I had this one lady. This one lady's like, yeah, he's an effing bastard. He doesn't pay anybody. He hasn't paid me from our divorce. And then she just went right into it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it worked. That one worked too. So yeah, I mean, collections is a funny thing. It's one of those things in business that I think a lot of new people in business, they think everybody pays, but there's a good portion. I don't know. I think different markets have different amounts of delinquency rate, but what always surprises me is how the vast majority of people actually pay their bills.
And how is that? What do you mean the vast majority?
Like most people just pay their bills. That always blows me away.
Yes. Yeah.
It just blows me away. They don't question it. I mean, as long as you have your PO number and your whatever, sometimes they ask for proof or whatever, but it's one of the, I'll tell you this though, the real lesson in bill collection is set the terms of the deal up first with the client. Get to check their credit and stuff like that, but it is on the smaller deals, Greg, where it's like less than 5,000, where you're tempted to write it off, but you shouldn't. You should call the guy's employees and explain, or the gal's employees, and just explain to them. Say, look, we delivered these light bulbs to you or whatever. Oh, no, that's for AP. Well, no, I'm just going to tell you about it real quick. And it usually solves the problem.
No, that's good. I think as an owner of a business too, you first rely on your rep that sold the project to start the process. Have them dive into it, go in person, whatever it needs, whatever it takes. And then you can get into other steps. And some people might want to do the nasty like you. I'm not sure I'm ready for that, but
I don't want to do the nasty. It's not a want thing.
But it's a have to.
It's a have to, right? Because I don't know, like not getting paid for your work can creep into a business too, right? Like that kind of like some reps are worse than others. You notice this too?
Yeah, for sure.
Like some reps are worse. And then sometimes you find out that, and this happened maybe 2 or 3 times over my career where I found out that we actually didn't deliver our part of the bargain and we had to fix it. That was another thing. Sometimes you learn about your business when you come at your business from a different angle of the collections agency, not collections agency, but the collection side of it. If you can actually learn about how your customers are perceiving your business, which is interesting as well. So don't forget about collections, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business and you don't have a department. Get into it a little bit. Find out. Maybe there's $20,000 on the table you forgot.
Do it up.
Do it up. This has been the Business Blast. I know everybody likes Mikey's opinions up here in Canada. I don't know, man. I just do the nasty. That's all I do. I just get nasty and get it going. So there's a little tip for you. If you want to call the wife, call the employees, let them know. And it usually works really good. Thank you for listening to the Business Blast, brought to you by Satco, SATCO.com, baby, Satco.com. That's all right, eh?
Yeah, that was good. Yep.
I mean, people are going to think like I'm a thug or something, but it is what it is.
That's fine. Yeah, you're a wild man. You got to keep that going.
Yeah.
Good.
I called the guy's wife.
People will love hearing that. They'll be like, holy shit. You know, what's good is to have extremes sometimes. And there's a lot of people that will be like, whoa, I would never do that. But then at the same time, it might get them thinking like, well, there's different ways to go about collecting the money. So I think that's good.
For sure.
I think it's good to be extreme sometimes, for sure.
You know what? For me, it always all these kind of barriers that people put in their minds in front of what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. Like, you'll know me, you know me like this. I always look at those separately. And this is maybe what makes me a good podcast host or makes me unique in business in the way, you know, each of us have our unique strengths. I look at those kinds of paradigms from the outside. And I say, you know what? If you're offside with me, why can I not go offside? Why do I have to continue to play by the moray rules of society that people say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that? Well, what you can't do is not pay me. That's what can't be done. Right? And when you continue to carry on business and don't go back, if you go bankrupt, you go bankrupt. You can't pay your bills, fine. But if you continue to carry on business and you ignore polite entreaties from my accounts receivable department and you blatantly ignore them, and we've delivered the light bulbs, there's nothing wrong with the light bulbs, or the project's been done, or you're trying to hold out the last $10,000 on a $100,000 deal because you're making me grind it out to get it from you, I feel like you've thrown the rules out the window, not me. You're the one who said we're not playing that game anymore. Now we're playing this game. You understand what I mean? It's not me.
Absolutely.
It's not like people are like, you can't do that. No, what you can't do is not pay Michael Colligan. That's what you can't do. That's when you took the game to another level. When you ordered stuff from me in good faith, you set up an account, I sent you the invoice. That's where the offside happened. Not when I called your employee and explained to them your nasty delinquent habits. You know, that's when the offside took place. So from my perspective, people say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Why not? Why can't I make a polite call to the guy's wife and say, hey, Sally, you know what? Sam didn't, you know what the hilarious thing is? Like I said, you get times when the wives agree with you. They hate their husbands. And they're like that. He's that cheap asshole, that son of a bitch. Chase him down. I've had that. You know, they're like, yeah, he doesn't pay anybody. Get him. And so, you know, you find out things about business all I'm saying with the whole payment thing is it's a paradigm. And if one person offends the paradigm, we're now in a new game, in my opinion. We're not in the old game. You threw the rules out of the window, not me. Right? So if you've thrown the rules out the window, you're walking into a different world. And people say, oh, you're going to get your ass kicked if you do. Hey, buddy. Come on down to 3800 Victoria Park Avenue. Let's get it on. For $400? Sure, buddy.
This has been the real conclusion of the Whitehead Business Blast.
Brought to you by Satco. Let's just do it. Brought to you by Satco. Satco.com, baby. Go to SATCO.com. Remember, the paradigm shifts. And when the paradigm shifts, you get to change the rules. And when you change the rules, you get to make the rules. That's how I play the game. Thank you for listening.